Okay, so if we kind of move on to the next thing where we're like, and we've kind of highlighted some of them. What, in your experience, from your journey and from like working with your clients, what are some common mistakes people make when it relates to overcoming their pain and injury goals? Because if your goal is to overcome an injury or pain, I mean, you need to kind of focus and make that goal happen. And what are some mistakes that you made, in a specific list, and the mistakes that you've seen your clients commonly make?
The thing I always think about for myself is like, okay, because I'm obviously a fitness nerd. I'm really into biology and like physiology and biomechanics and whatnot. I love it. I love learning about it. But I realize that other people are not, right? They're not going to nerd out and search for all this stuff. And I think that, they want the answer. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that literally everything counts, like everything, like what you do, like so all my knee starts to, after I went for, like, I had a client this morning, my knee was outside of my knee was bothering me after this like 3 mile walk, right? And I'm like, what you can do is you can roll out the outer thigh. That will help reduce some of the pain, but it's probably because your calves are tight because of the shoes that you wear, so because of her footwear pattern, what she wears, it's affecting her overall behavior. So like people with back pain sit too much, or like what you do, like, oh, I have elbow pain, or just stuff that you have. Everything counts. Like from me sitting at this laptop to how I sleep at night to what I do in my workday sitting in front of a computer, all of it counts. And you got to realize, like recently, I've been working on the computer a lot lately. I'm getting this pain right here in my elbow or my forearm, right? And why is that? Because I'm clicking on the mouse too much. I know that's what it is. On top of, I did like a bodybuilder workout, did some lat pull downs, bicep curls, so you combine those two.
Yeah.
So it's like if I just did the workout and I wasn't clicking the mouse so much, I probably wouldn't have this problem. So the biggest mistake is realizing, like, you got to have a holistic approach of understanding what your problem is. Why is it that your shoulder's bothering, your back is bothering? It's because it's a combination of different things. Like me talking to you about it makes me want to just like sit up straight here. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean. Like your posture is like just being I guess that, and it's really the self-awareness of being aware of what your problem is and trying to understand like what really makes it worse. And again, no one's going to be a better detective about your problems than yourself. And that's basically, like you said, what did you say? You said take responsibility, like
Yeah,
really,
yeah. I mean, you
just really
you
own it.
end up becoming the best fixer of your injury and pain. But also you can cause the greatest amount of harm to
And
yourself.
and that's why you search for information from experts, and then you still have to process it. So it's always a back and
Yeah.
forth, taking responsibility. So the biggest mistake is like realizing like everything matters, and be aware of what you do every day that may be making your problem worse or making it better. Because a
Okay.
lot of the time people will think that one thing is like, oh, this is causing me pain, when it's not. You really don't know.
I mean, it's true. All those, like, elbow ends up being a real good example. It's, people will say, well, my elbow hurts, and it's like, well, what are you doing with your elbow during the day? Oh, it's like I wake up in the morning and I do, a barbell workout, and then I play guitar for like a half an hour,
Oh,
and then I go
guitar.
to work as a mechanic. You're like, well, I mean, your elbow is under stress the whole time, and so all of that builds up and just makes things worse. So you've got to kind of look at that and unravel things. So you kind of talked about, like, number one ends up being like searching for the solution. And the second one is that kind of everything matters. And what would be like a third, or if there's even a fourth?
So like as far as mistakes people make,
Yeah.
like first believing that it's possible that you can be pain free. I mean, like a lot of like, I mean, I've read a lot of books, and like, something is, I mean, this is kind of traumatic, but like someone who has like cancer, for example, the people that have like a better outlook on their health do better than the people that don't.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, there's this, your whole body, your brain, like everything about you. I mean, call it magic. I don't know what you want to call it, but there's something that happens when you actually believe that you can solve your problem. I mean, I don't even even if what you're doing may not necessarily be the best thing as far as like treatment, maybe at least if you believe and you're actually actively trying to understand, like the belief is like the biggest part. And then I guess to tie into that is just again trying. understanding what's happening or trying to get a better understanding because like what has changed about nutrition and exercise over the last 15 years I've been a trainer. I mean, not a lot, except my understanding for it is much deeper. Like all the facets. Like you just said, like you said, elbow pain, and then you said barbell workout, guitar, mechanic. I'm like, oh, my elbow hurts. Because I understand because of years of studying and learning. I'm like, oh man, that's kill your grip and before you golfer's elbow all day long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, or whatever, right? So I'm just it's believing that you can actually solve your problem because of first of all not doing the thing that's making it worse, and then looking for experts on top of taking action on yourself to actually solve, to do something about it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so if we can list it off, what would be the list in bullet point form, the common mistakes that people make?
Number one, believing in that you can actually solve your problem. Number two, having a holistic approach to like everything counts. And number three, I honestly cannot remember.
Okay.
So we got those two. That's pretty
Okay, there's
good.
two. Well, that rolls into like, what are the keys to reaching your injury and pain-free goals? Or is that same? Is it relate to the one before?
It's all related because I mean, like again, like if you believe in what you're from doing like a Google search or trying to read your material and going through a lot of your programs. It's being conscious about it. The solution is always going to be your conscious effort on a regular basis. I know that's vague. I want to give you something more specific, but maybe you can phrase the question a little bit in a different way.
Well, I mean, if I kind of look at the keys when it comes to someone with an injury, I always like number one, I'm like, get a clear picture of what's going on. So get a diagnosis, get a medical opinion, get an assessment, just to find out what's going on. Because if you don't, your mind ends up wandering at what it could be. So all of a sudden you got elbow pain. Next thing you know, you start reading on the internet and you think you have cancer and you're going to die in 1 month. You're going to die in like 60 days. So go get a clear a diagnosis of what's going on, just to calm down the crazy rat that can be running in your head on what possibly could go wrong. Like you said, search out those experts, search out the solution, and most importantly, take action on it. I mean, just being the most knowledgeable doesn't really matter. It's that action part that matters. Third thing, believing that you can overcome it. That you can do it. Other peoples have done, and you can overcome your injury and pain. That ends up being super important. And then really being specific at what you're doing. Like the approach to elbow pain is different than back pain, and the approach to knee pain is different than foot pain. So you kind of need to be targeted at when it comes to your approach. That's 4. Number 5 is like realizing everything matters. Like everything has an effect on pain. Like you were saying with back pain, if you sit a long period of time, that ends up having an effect. If you drive a lot, that ends up having an effect. If you end up having poor footwear, that ends up having an effect. So numerous things end up having an effect on things. So that would be kind of like the 5 keys that I would kind of highlight. I don't know if you have anything to add to those.
I would. The one thing I will just add is the like you said, everything counts. I just immediately thought about sleeping. So if you don't sleep,
yeah. I mean, we can
like,
keep going on.
like
Sleep ends up being important. What you eat ends up being important. So what are we at? We're at sleep with 6. What you eat plays a huge role. Like 7. Like
just start over.
I mean, let's start the interview all over. Yeah, but what you eat plays a big role. Like you're going to recover a lot faster. You're going to recover a lot slower if you're on the junk food diet. You're going to, it's going to be a longer recovery compared to the fruits and vegetable diet.
Right. Absolutely.
I
agree.
We're at 7. We're at 7. 7
good.
keys to reach your injury and pain-free goals. So I think if people follow those 7 things, they'll be put on a really good path to overcoming their injury and overcoming their pain. Now, you're a trainer, and I know a bit of your story, and before I let you go, I wanted to talk a little bit about fat loss. So maybe you can kind of talk about, if you've had struggles with weight and what your experience has been getting into like fitness and getting into being fit.
Yeah, I grew up being overweight most of my adolescent life, and I was basically the fat kid on the playing ground all day long. I couldn't keep up with most of the kids. I was basically either last or second to last. I was basically picked last for sports if I ever got to play. And even and I lost a bunch of weight in high school, and then I got in better shape. But I was always under this impression that I couldn't accomplish my physical goals of being in the shape that I wanted to. And then I just, again, the switch went off in my head, and then I kind of figured out, like, hey, maybe all the stuff that people are telling me about diet is not for me, or it's not the right thing. And then I began to realize, like, hey, I can really, you know I can really do this. And once I started losing the weight and started changing my body, again, this is why it comes back to like the whole belief thing. Once you believe, you can accomplish it. But my thing is, like, with a lot of people that I train and people that I coach, the hardest part is, like, I went through this process of teaching people like how to count calories and track their macros, and the problem with that is that there will be like 2%, 5% of people that would do it. That would want to track their food. No one wants to weigh and measure their food. I basically come to the conclusion. So I was like, I need to put together a program where people can just measure portions, not count calories, not measure stuff, focus on having a simple approach to eating, and still lose weight and get the body they want. And that's always been sort of been my main focus for people. It's like, okay, look, how deep do you want to go in this rabbit hole? Were you going to be a bodybuilder, or are you just trying to get in shape for, like, you know, for your health to look better and look better for the summer? So everything that I've been doing recently was just like, okay, let's simplify this approach for you. Let's have you lose that 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds. And then if you want a six pack, we can get there next. But let's get you with these simple approaches that doesn't put you in some stringent rules, like, you can't have carbs, or something like that. And that's kind of like been my focus now, because I want to be able to teach things that are permanent, that aren't laborious, that aren't so difficult for people to remember, and more importantly, do. Like, if you want to, go to dinner with a family member or a friend or a date, you should be able to have a drink and eat whatever you want. At the same time, it's got to fit into the overall plan, and that's sort of what I've been teaching recently.
Okay. And then, so then what would be your, best piece of advice for, viewers, listeners, and readers when it comes to fat loss and fitness?
I'm sorry. Repeat the question. Sorry.
Rephrase the question.
Rephrase the question. Rephrase it.
Say it in Spanish. Now say it in Mandarin. Okay. What's the best piece of advice you could give, the viewers, listeners, and readers when it comes to fat loss and fitness?
The best advice I can give is really focus on eliminating just processed foods from your diet. I think that's just the biggest thing. Like, you can still have them. It's just understanding that when you do eat the junk food or the pocket packaged food or have alcohol or go out to dinner, realize that you're just most likely going to eat more. And if you can just focus on, like, for example, having more vegetables first, and then having the treat that you want, or having the carbs that you want. Because the thing is, it's just like, if we when we go from dieting to not dieting to, like, trying to watch our weight, it's almost like a all or nothing approach. And again, like, going back to the injury thing again, it's holistic. Like, everything counts. Have a practical approach. Be practical about your body. Be practical about your lifestyle. So that way, it's not about, like, okay, being obsessive about losing weight or obsessive about getting in shape. You think about, like, okay, this is my life. This is my body. I want to take care of it. And, like, the best thing I heard is, like, the best thing you can do, like, for your body, like, for your own self-love is just to cook for yourself and prepare food for yourself, and just not, and again, protect yourself from all the bad stuff that makes you overeat, or more importantly, just causes you bad habits.
Good point. Good point. Now we're kind of approaching the end of the interview. Is there anything that you want to leave people with, or is there something that um, I should have asked and I didn't? This is kind of your chance to leave people with any last tips or advice.
Well, I'm very active on YouTube, so if you ever, like, wanted to, like, if you want to get in touch with me or you want to see my content, you can just Google my name, Ryan Saplan, Saplan is my last name, and for the most part, like, like, I've essentially, my whole life is about, like, helping people really believe that they can achieve what they want, as far as their fitness and their body, and it starts from the inside out. So, like I said before, like, if you want to if you want to find a simple way approach to losing body fat and changing your life and really making a change without having to count macros and just go through crazy loops of like nutrition and whatnot, come check me out on my channel. My new program that I put together is called the Fat Burning Breakfast program, and essentially, and then again, I'm here to like just again, if you have any questions, feel free to message me. I'm very active on YouTube, and you can just go to my website ryansaplan.com, and I'll be able to like answer any questions you might have, because I'm really wanting to like, and if you seek out my help, I'm really like, I'm just a big giver. I really want to help the people that are like seeking the information, and there's nothing that I enjoy more than doing that. So yeah.
I mean, you've got a great blog. I mean, you've got a great YouTube channel. That's kind of how I stumbled across you, was your YouTube channel. You've got lots of great videos on YouTube.
All right, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is great.
Okay, so if that's it, I'll end up wrapping up the interview. Is there anything else you wanted to leave people with?
No, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Ryan, thank you very much for your time. And thank you, everyone at exercisesforinjuries.com. I hope you enjoyed this interview. Now, like I usually wrap up, make sure to swing by exercisesforinjuries.com, enter in your injury or pain. There's a good chance of an article, video, or an interview that'll help you overcome your injury or pain. Now, if you have some ideas of other people that I should interview when it relates to injury and pain, make sure to swing by exercisesforinjuries.com and contact me there and let me know who else I should interview. So thank you very much, Ryan, and thank you everyone at exercisesforinjuries.com. This is Rick Casello saying take care and bye-bye.